Welcome to Caregiver Cast with Mary Elaine Petrucci. Are you overwhelmed raising a family, working full-time, caring for a parent or grandparent? It can be challenging when you're doing it alone. Caregiver Cast helps busy, burned-out professionals reduce their stress and overwhelm to create a better caregiving experience for themselves and their loved one. Caregiver Cast brings caregivers together with experts who provide information in a variety of areas. In each episode, you'll get tips on topics such as finance, legal, medical, self-care, community resources, mindset, and more. We're here to make your caregiving journey a more rewarding one. Acquire the confidence and skills to be a more capable caregiver by implementing the resources and strategies from these expert thought leaders. Get a community of support, resources, and strategies for your caregiving journey inside the Caregiver Lifeline community. Visit caregiverlifelinecommunity.com. And now here's your host, Mary Elaine Petrucci.
Hi, welcome to Caregiver Cast. My name is Mary Elaine Petrucci. My special guest today is Melissa Deely, and she will be talking about physical detox, which we all need in order to be our healthy self as caregivers. Before I formally introduce Melissa, I'm just going to give you some background information about her. Melissa is a friendly toxin slayer. I love that. As your friendly toxin slayer and integrative health practitioner, Melissa wants to know if you realize that the average North American spends the last 10 years of their life in a nursing home, not living longer, but dying slower at a cost of over $1 million. And that only includes room and board. Very scary situation. When you dream of retirement, is that what you dream of? Or do you dream of travel, quality time with family, and having the energy to live life exactly the way you want because it's finally your time? Melissa offers the gift of health, which is critical for you to achieve any of this. She gives you the know-how, tools, and customized supports to release the physical, mental, and emotional toxins that are bogging you down, causing dis-ease inside your body and stealing your longevity. It's your choice to take control now to live the life you dream of. And the added bonus is saving money and creating more time. Thank you. Through this process, Melissa is dedicated to helping her clients discover the root cause of their health issue and truly heal, while detoxing their physical, mental, and emotional bodies. Melissa's business is 100% virtual, and she works with the entire English-speaking world. Melissa also uses the power of functional medicine, lab tests mailed to your home, while offering a very high level of support to ensure her clients' success as they navigate the path, bringing the mental, physical, and emotional bodies back into balance while creating new lifestyle habits to ensure lasting results. Melissa has been awarded the Quality Care Award for Businesses from the Heart for 2 years running, 2021 and 2022. She has also been named to the 2022 CREA Global Award list and the winner of the Alignable 2022 Local Business Person of the Year Award for Whistler. Melissa is an international speaker and also the host of Don't Wait for Your Wake Up Call podcast, a podcast offering practical education around health, which ranked in the top 5% of global podcasts by listen notes in the first 3 months of launching. Welcome, Melissa, to Caregiver Cast.
Thank you very much for having me. I'm excited to be here, and I'm sure that many of the caregivers listening are well aware of the number of years people are spending at the end of their life, in nursing homes, or possibly not even in nursing homes because the family can't afford it. And so they're in somebody's home, one of their children's, and that person is now having to not be able to work full time because they've become a caregiver. And it's a real problem. It's a problem for the people that are in it now. And so it's my mission to educate people to take action now so they don't have to be dependent on caregivers down the road. And they can live their life, more fully, more joyfully, more vibrantly, right to the very end. And honestly, my motivator is my grandmother. And my grandmother lived to 101. She lived by herself in her own home, fully capable of caring for herself, right to the end when she died in her sleep. And, obviously we were sad to say goodbye, but we were celebrating a life well lived. And it's fascinating because when I was let go from my corporate job 7 years ago now, and realized, well, I don't want to work for somebody else again. And I started looking at different opportunities and how I could offer more service to humanity and to the world. I came across brain health and thought, I have never been told I could do more for my brain. I use it 24/7, but I didn't know I could do more. And over here, I was aware of all of the Alzheimer's and dementia being a massive chronic illness. And, so many people, it was basically an epidemic, right? And then my grandmother was over here fully cognitively functioning. And at the time she was 99 and living by herself. And I went, okay, so I have good genes, but is that enough? And I don't know what prompted me to ask that question because I wasn't even yet in health and wellness, but something prompted me to ask that question. I started comparing her life to my life. And I realized, well, she was born in 1916 in the bottom corner of the world in Christchurch, New Zealand, and growing all their own food on the property. So organic, no pesticides, no toxins. And I was raised in Tokyo, Japan in the 1970s in the height of manufacturing plants spewing out toxins. So I knew I was more toxic than my grandmother. So yes, I had good genes, but what was that toxicity doing to my body? And I started learning more about brain health because, of course, our brain is impacted by toxins too, and how toxicity affects our brain and body. And that kind of launched me on this completely new and different trajectory that's landed me where I'm at today as I've just continued following this path and learning more and realizing how much we can be empowered in our health. And it's all about the choices that we make and the education that we have. And we're not taught this through our mainstream medical system or our public health system. And this is information that through my podcast and through working with clients, I now feel very passionate about bringing to the public and letting people know so that they can make different choices, because you don't know what you don't know. But once you do know, then you have the opportunity to make a different choice, right?
Yes.
And that's where, educating people about the importance of detoxing comes in. And I truly believe that if I could reach enough people and have that ripple effect of having the entire Western world start a practice of detoxing, which doesn't have to be hard. I guide people through, I hold your hand, I make it easy, that when we detox, we are literally creating a body that is inhospitable to disease.
Wow.
Who doesn't want that, right?
Oh, okay. You can sign me up for that too, Melissa.
Exactly.
That sounds wonderful.
Well, and we look at all the chronic illness that's in the world today, which is epidemic, and Alzheimer's and dementia fits into that. So does some forms of cancer. And then there's type 2 diabetes, there's heart disease, there's leaky gut, there's all the autoimmune diseases, there's obesity, right? All of these things we can undo when we know how, and we can prevent when we know how. And a big part of that is detoxing the body and getting those toxins out. And here's what's really fascinating is that in Ayurvedic medicine in India, they still detox to this day. In traditional Chinese medicine in China, they still detox to this day. If you look at Latin American cultures, they still detox to this day, more of the tribal cultures, right? Where is all the chronic illness in the world?
In the industrialized world where
Right.
they have all those toxins and we don't detox.
Right. And we haven't been taught to. We've been taught to have a shower every day and wash our outer body, and that's good for good health and good hygiene. But it's not enough. It's good for good hygiene. It is not enough for good health. We have to actually detox our inner body for good health. And Hippocrates said 2000 plus years ago, all disease starts in the gut. It still boggles my mind that he knew that back then, but All disease starts in the gut, right? So we
Mhm.
have to look after our gut. And part of the detox process is looking after our gut, getting all those toxins out, reducing the level of inflammation, etc., getting our digestive system functioning properly again. Because when we do that, we bring down our risk of dis-ease significantly. And how many people out there today are struggling with digestive issues, such as gas and bloating and constipation and diarrhea and heartburn and discomfort after eating? None of that is normal. All of those are signs and symptoms from our body telling us something is wrong. And it's asking us to do something differently.
Okay.
And that's what symptoms are. It's our body's way of talking to us. Problem is, we've been taught societally to push through, tough it out. It'll go away if we just ignore it, etc., right? That is not the case with an imbalanced gut. We have to rebalance the gut. And we do that by detoxing and then, literally rebalancing the gut with a healing protocol. And yet, as society, we just have these beliefs. I'm supposed to feel worse as I get older. It's my joints, and I'm supposed to have aches and pains in my joints and in my body, and that's just normal, and it's aging, and aging sucks. None of that is true. If we actually listen to the body, which is giving us aches and pains as a way of communicating with us, and we chose to do something about it and get to the root cause and understand it, we could undo it. And then we don't have to suffer for the rest of our life thinking I'm supposed to feel worse as I get older. Because I'm 54 and I wasn't in health and wellness until 7 years ago. And I honestly feel better today than I did in my 20s and 30s because I have so much more information and education on how to look after myself. And I don't ignore the symptoms. You can hear I'm a little bit congested right now. I'm starting to get a cold because my daughter works with kids, and the kids in this town, they've all got hand, foot, and mouth disease, and everyone's sick. It's crazy right now, right? So she brought something into the house. I just did a really intense 2-week course, so not as much sleep as I would have liked. And you know what that course was because you were there with me. And so at the end of it, guess what? My immune system's a little run down and I get sick. What do I start doing? I've got a little dish here of vitamin C. Pop that every half hour. I've been doing some eucalyptus oils. I've got that in my diffuser. There's all these natural things that I can be doing. So the hack that everyone else has that has them coughing up a lung, I don't have it. I just have a little bit of congestion. It started with the same sore throat, but I was able to take steps to make sure that I didn't get it to the same degree that everybody else got it.
Right. Okay.
And that's what we can do when we have knowledge. And that's the knowledge that I love to share with others, because I believe everybody should have this knowledge about how their body works. And when I got into health coaching school, that was my biggest aha. I'm 46 years old, and why don't I know this about my own body? How is it that I don't know this? Well, because I did a commerce degree and then I went into the corporate world, and I never took nutrition courses or health courses or any of that. And so then I realized, so if I don't know this, I bet there's all these other people out there that were busy being moms and wives and, building their career, that they don't know this either. And so that's why I'm so passionate about sharing this information, because when you have it, you truly can be empowered in your health. And that just changes everything for your future. I am on my grandmother's path. I intend to be able to care for myself to the end. I don't want to be a burden on anybody else. I don't want to spend the last 10 years of my life in a nursing home, or have, a caregiver having to look after me while family comes and visits and I don't know who they are. That's not my dream. And so I'm setting myself up now to be able to live the dream that I want then. And that's what we all can do when we plan ahead. And maybe it costs me a little bit more. I invest more in my health now, but I don't want to be paying $100,000 or $150,000 or whatever it's going to be by the time I get there per year for, to be in a nursing home.
Right. Well, I don't blame you. I wouldn't want to be in one and in a nursing home either. And I really don't think there's going to be many caregivers to take care of us. So
exactly, that's part of the problem too.
Right.
If we burn out all the caregivers, who's left, right?
Exactly.
And they've literally said women are, I've seen some stats that showing women are more prone to Alzheimer's than men, and yet women are the caregivers. And so who's going to be caring for the women if they've, all been burned out and they all have Alzheimer's? Like, this is a real problem.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
And the
definitely.
way around that problem is education and having people starting to change the way they live their life now. And that's not a burden. Changing the way you live your life now results in you having more energy, more vitality, less aches and pains, more mental clarity, better sleep. Like, who doesn't want that? I love that when people get to the end of my program and they're like, oh my God, I can't remember ever feeling this good. Right? And I don't just do a detox once. I teach how to do it. I hold people's hand. I give the recipes. It's a 5-week course around a 3-week detox. So you're getting all of this added lifestyle learning around digestion, around nutrition, around sugar, because it's a problem. It's in everything. And how not to detox after the detox, because we don't want to go back to the way things were. But then we make it a lifestyle. So then we do quarterly 7-day detoxes because the toxins are always coming in. So we need to always keep getting them out. Right.
Yes.
And so that's where it becomes a lifestyle. And I, bring people into the community, and I don't charge, once they've done that course once, I don't charge them to do the 7-day detoxes after that. We just do it in community. I make a little Facebook Messenger group. So we're all doing it together because it's more fun together. There's no fee for that. You know what you're doing. You've already taken the course. You know how to do it. You have the recipes, but let's just cheer each other on, share recipes and check in with each other, right? To make it that lifestyle, to create that habit for people. And that is how we limit our risks of chronic illness, and we literally can create a body that is inhospitable to disease. Because when we get those toxins out, they reduce the inflammation in the body. And as we bring that inflammation down, that's when the aches and pains go away, right? And that's also what prevents the switch, as I call it, to turning on any disease that you are genetically predisposed to. There's a switch, right? With epigenetics, we now know just because your parent had a certain disease doesn't mean you're automatically going to get it. Just because your mother had breast cancer doesn't mean you're automatically going to get it. I know we've been led to believe that, but we now know that's not true. It's only in 5 to 10% of diseases where it's automatic like that. So that means 90 to 95% are not, which means you have a lot of control. And the environment you create inside your body is what dictates whether that switch gets turned on. And when we bring our inflammation levels down, when we get our toxic levels out of our body, that switch doesn't even need to be turned on. So it doesn't matter what your parents had. It matters how you choose to live your life and what you choose to do today. And you just need knowledge around that, and then you can do it.
That's amazing. Okay. Great information. And people needed to hear that. Let's just get to be a little, let's get back to, I guess, to the starting point. So describe detox. I know that has a lot to do with your gut and everything else. So what does that word actually mean, and why is it so important?
So in terms of why it is so important, since World War II, we have had 144,000 man-made chemicals introduced into our environment. And that's, what is that now? 80 years ago, right? That's a lot. And as you know, the human body doesn't evolve that quickly. Yes, we have a liver and kidneys, and they are our detoxification systems. However, when we have so much coming in, they get bogged down and can't do their job properly. They're very smart. Our human body is incredible. When our liver cannot detox properly, its main goal is to stop the toxins getting into our bloodstream. And it cleanses our blood every 6 minutes, right? Our liver is literally our body's purification device, for want of another term. And it cleanses our blood every 6 minutes. It doesn't want our toxins to go into our bloodstream. But it can't get them all out of the body because it doesn't have the nutrients to do that. So it stores them in our fat closets. We all have, most of us, have some fat in our body. We have a lot of fat in our brain. I don't know about you, but I don't want toxins stored in my brain.
It doesn't sound very pleasant to have
No.
all of those toxins
No.
stored up there in our brain.
Exactly. And Alzheimer's, dementia, Parkinson's, MS, right?
Yep.
women have a lot of fat in our breasts. I don't know about you, but I don't want toxins stored in my breasts either. Much less trapped in there with an underwire bra that doesn't even let them move through and into our lymphatic tissue. Hello, breast cancer. Not the only cause, but one of, right?
Okay.
So when we can instead help our body get the toxins out safely, we're not storing them in our body, right?
Mm.
And so we have to support our liver and kidneys in at a higher level because of this higher level of toxins that are coming in.
Mm-hmm.
And we do that through supplementation. And we need to do it through supplementation because the specific nutrients needed for our liver and our kidneys to function optimally and complete phase 2 of detoxification are no longer in our soil systems. Thank you, agricultural revolution.
Yes.
Right? So we
Of
have
course.
depleted soil systems, significantly depleted soil systems. You know, if my grandmother were to have had one orange when she was in her 20s, say in the 1930s, for me to get the same nutrient content from that one orange today, I would need to eat 9 in one sitting.
Wow.
Who eats 9 oranges in one sitting? Nobody. You would get full because of all the fiber in it anyway. But that's an example of how depleted our soil is, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when I run a detox program, we're using supplementation from Ayurvedic medicine as well, because they're so good at detoxing, in order to support the liver and kidneys in phase 2 of detoxification. And phase 2 is where we get the toxins out of the body. So that's where the body can actually convert them to being water soluble. And once they're water soluble, we can urinate them out, we can sweat them out, we can breathe them out, and they can come out through our bowels. And that's what we need to have happen. But if we don't have the right nutrients, the body can't do that, and it will store them in our fat tissues.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So this is why it is so important to detox, right? We've got all this toxins coming in. We also have toxins in our personal care products that we put on our skin.
Mm-hmm.
If you put something on your skin that is toxic, how many seconds do you think it takes to go from your skin into your bloodstream?
Pretty quickly.
Yeah, 26. 26 seconds, and it's in your bloodstream. The liver doesn't even have a chance to filter it. So now we have toxins running around in our bloodstream, which then can also get into our brain if they can cross the blood-brain barrier. And here's the thing, is you might think because I buy it in a pharmacy, it must be safe because somebody's approved it, right?
Right.
Well, we can't trust that anymore. We simply can't, because any testing that is done on ingredients, they're done in isolation of that one ingredient used once. And then they come up and say, oh, it's generally recommended as safe. But they haven't done any testing, because it would be physically impossible, on what about that ingredient plus this ingredient plus this ingredient plus this ingredient, the hundreds of ingredients that we get in our day through, cleaning supplies, personal care, in our air, our food, etc. What is the compounded effect of all of those toxins on our body? There's no testing that's done that to tell us that they're not safe. But I'll tell you what the testing is. It's one great big giant human experiment, and it's showing up as chronic illness.
I believe that, definitely.
So that's why detoxing is so important.
Okay.
In terms of your question, what does detoxing mean? It is literally removing the toxins.
Okay.
And when we get the toxins in our body, the good news is we can choose to remove them. And yes, there are detoxes that you can go and buy at your local supermarket. And they will help. But do they do enough? And here's my analogy. For many of us, our bodies are like an overflowing trash can at a city park. We've all seen that.
What an analogy, but that's not very pleasant.
Not very pleasant, but we've seen it. And if you go and put something healthy on top of that, an apple, for instance, on top of that overflowing trash can, where does it end up? It falls to the ground in most cases, beside the trash can, along with the other overflowing trash, right? So it's not serving your body in any way, that healthy food, because it didn't even get where it needed to go. So our body is like this, and we can be putting healthy food in, but if we're full of toxins first, that healthy food is not getting to the cells that need it because it's getting all messed up in the sludge. So the detox program that I offer is like picking up that overflowing trash can and completely dumping it out.
Oh,
And
okay.
then now our pathways are clear, and any healing protocol from the lab testing that I run and getting to the root cause, maybe you've got candida overgrowth, maybe it's bacterial overgrowth, maybe your hormones are imbalanced, maybe you've got metal toxicities, et cetera, maybe you're deficient in your minerals. Any healing protocol that I recommend to you to take now gets to where it needs to go, and it's far more effective and fast acting because it's not getting lost in the sludge. Make
I
sense?
see that. Oh, definitely. So once we get these toxins out, and after we do this functional medicine lab tests, where do we get, I guess, the supplements that we need so that we can get rid of the sludge, so that we can get all of the nutritional value of what we're eating?
Right. So you're basically asking, how do I work with people? What's the process here?
Yes.
So I have a quiz, which I can give to you, and it's called Discover Your Toxic Load. So people can discover their load, and very often it will be high. It can be mild, moderate, severe, or extreme. And don't worry if you're severe or extreme. I know that sounds scary, but here's the good news. You now have this information, and you can choose to bring that number down by doing a detox. So we always start with a detox. If
Okay.
people want to do lab testing because they have symptoms and they want to get to the root cause of it, we will often do the lab testing first, and then we will do the detox because the labs get mailed to your home. You send them into the lab, and it takes about 4 weeks for me to get the results. So in that window, you do your 3-week detox. So by the time we get the results, now your pathways are all clear, and any healing protocol that I recommend can now go in and get to the cells that need it. As far as where you get the supplements and the protocols from, the protocols are you can literally buy anything anywhere. However, for the protocols, they're very specifically designed by my mentor, Dr. Stephen Cabral, who's a naturopathic doctor, also trained in Ayurvedic medicine, Chinese traditional medicine, et cetera, et cetera. He's created them because they're nowhere else on the market. Could you piece them together? Yes, it might take 27 different supplements, or you can just take these 3, right?
Oh, right.
So from the protocol perspective, most people prefer just to do that, because what he's done is he's taken these, long-standing medicines, Ayurvedic medicines, 6,000, 8,000 years old, and he's North Americanized it into a way that North Americans can do it in their everyday life, because they're not going to go check into a Puncha Karma clinic and do the full-on detox program that they do in India, right?
No.
So his protocols are excellent. When it comes to supplements, there are supplements that I will recommend, particularly depending on the lab tests we've run. If people are stuck in chronic stress and their body needs help to calm in order to improve sleep, etc., maybe their hormones are out of balance. Again, I will always make recommendations for people as to where they can buy them online so that it's super easy, and I give them the links, etc. But if somebody's like, no, I just want to go to my local health food store and find it, they can do that. We do talk about the differences between supplements too, because not all supplements are created equal. So I do make recommendations of functional medicine brands where I know that the right amount of each ingredient has been used in the product and the most bioavailable form, meaning the body can actually absorb it. Because some of the less expensive supplements that are really out there based on the profit margin,
right,
have cheap versions of the ingredient that the body can't absorb well, or there's not even enough of it in it to make a difference in the body, right?
right.
So we want to stay away from those brands. So I make recommendations of the good quality brands. I give people, very simple instructions as to where to buy if they just want to go buy. And I hold people's hand every step of the way. So it's never, here's your lab results, now go do this. I'm making sure that you know exactly what you're doing, that you're supported. We have connection through an app so that you can easily get questions answered. And we have a couple follow-up calls too to check in with you in a month. How are you feeling? What are you noticing, etc. And then another call towards the end to maybe start weaning you off some of the supplements once your body's come back into balance.
Okay. Well, several things. even if you go to a natural food store, you still have the same problem of not knowing how it's manufactured, number one. Not to say that people are online saying that certain medications or supplements have gone through all this testing, even those may or may not have all those ingredients that they say that's in there. So
Very true.
so it sounds to me like it's better to order the supplements from you because you would have access to the right brand because of all the things that you mentioned in terms of
Right.
the amount of ingredients, how it's more bioavailable to the body and things like that.
It is absolutely what I recommend because it comes down to who you trust, right? And I trust Dr. Cabral. He's my mentor. I've seen the results my clients get. I use the products myself. I know my own results. I know who he is as a person, and he wants people to be able to heal. That's why he's built his business, right? He cured himself from 3 autoimmune diseases at age 17 when the medical world told him, I'm sorry that you can't get out of bed at age 17, but we can't do anything for you. Here's some drugs you need to take for the rest of your life. And he had a pity party for a little bit and then woke up one day and went, no, this isn't my life. I'm not going to live my life this way. I'm going to go figure out how to heal myself. And that's why he studied so many different types of medicine, because he went on a mission to find the best medicine in the world that was going to heal him. And what he instead found was a mentor who guided him through these different medicines, and that he learned to take this from that, and then pieces from the different forms of medicine and bring them together in order to heal himself. And he learned there is no one best form of medicine, but there are pieces from each of them. And when you have that knowledge and you can be guided by someone who has that knowledge, that allows you to save all of that time and, studying and researching it for yourself, and to trust in that person and what they're recommending. And so with supplements, that is really important. And I've experienced it myself back when I was in the corporate world. I went into my local health food store and said, I would like a, women's multivitamin for women over 40. And they walked me over to the shelf and said, here's the best one. And I went, okay, I'm in a health food store. It's got to be good, right?
Right.
And I started taking it. And when I was traveling later that year, what I did was I took it in the morning in my hotel room, and then went and got in the elevator down to the lobby and into the restaurant to meet my colleagues. And I didn't want to have my supplements in front of my colleagues, so I had it in the room, right?
Right.
And it took me less than 5 minutes to go from my room down the elevator, across the lobby, and into the restaurant. And I started feeling nauseous. And I didn't know why. And it happened every morning. I'm like, why am I feeling nauseous? This is weird. And it wasn't until later when I got into this line of work and I started to understand the difference between quality ingredients in a supplement and not so quality ingredients in a supplement, that when it's a quality ingredient in a supplement, it is like food. And your body should be able to digest it, and it shouldn't be making you nauseous. Now, there's a few, like iron can be problematic for some people, but a multivitamin should not make you feel nauseous if it's a good quality one, right? And that was my aha, like, oh my God, I bought it in a health food store. I asked the person who's supposed to be knowledgeable in the health food store. I thought I was getting a good quality product, and I still wasn't.
Right.
That's when I moved over to understanding the functional medicine brands and those ones that I trust. And that's what I share with my clients.
Okay, thank you. So let's say you go through this 5-week program, and either you have to stay on the supplements or you're still not getting like the results that you want. What happens at that point?
So with the 5-week program, it's a 5-week course, and inside that is a 3-week detox. So at the end of the detox, you stop the detox, you finished all the supplements, you're done, right?
Okay.
At the end of that detox, I have 99.9% of the people are saying that they feel so amazing. There's some level of health benefit. Many people saying, I can't remember ever feeling this good. Okay. And then it's a matter of how do we continue the structure that you've just built for 3 weeks, and those good habits and the parts that you like about the program. How do you take that into your everyday life, which is what I help them to continue. Now, for some people, they might be coming to me with specific health issues, or they might be coming to me going, you know what, I feel pretty good right now, but I'm 50 and I want to make sure I'm still around when I'm 100. So can we run all of my labs to see where I'm at when I feel good, so I have a baseline? So for those people, we might have run the labs already, or maybe after doing the detox, they've got to know and like and trust me a little bit, and they're like, you know, I want to run my labs. We run the labs and then we continue working together. And it's when we run the labs that I'm generally recommending supplementation. During the detox program, I'm not recommending specific supplementation because I don't have people's labs, but I will recommend some generic supplementation that I know just about every human on the planet needs right now because of soil deficiencies, etc.
You're very knowledgeable, Melissa. That's all I can say. So
thank you. I love this work, and I love, helping people. And for caregivers, it's really important to be looking after yourself as best you can, because you're working so hard, caring for someone, possibly have a job, juggling, etc., etc. But when we build in that detox, we're caring for ourselves in a deeper way than when we ever have before, right? And we're really helping to release all that buildup in the body. And that we lose a little weight because they do weigh something, but it has us feeling lighter, sleeping better, having more energy, more vitality. And that helps us as a caregiver. We don't feel so bogged down.
Yes, the more clarity one can have while caregiving is highly recommended.
Yes, exactly.
So if we can clear out our physical bodies of all those toxins that, yes, I totally agree. It's in the air, it's in everything we eat.
Exactly.
Everything that, like you said, the skincare, whatever you use, it's everywhere.
It is everywhere. And in my intro, you also mentioned, mental and emotional toxins as well. And of course, that's something that you do. And that's an important piece as well, because the body stores everything. And so if we have, past traumatic experiences, even if we're not aware of them, the body knows, and it's stored it in our cells. And that becomes like baggage that we carry around. And so, it's important to also address the emotional and the mental toxicity that we have. And, that's the work that you do as well. And it's so important.
Thank you for that. Yes, I would agree that mental and emotional piece needs to be addressed in addition to the physical detox, because yes, like you said, people have trauma, they have limiting beliefs and strategies that no longer serve them. So you might as well kind of do a complete detox in all of those areas to become,
Absolutely.
the best person that you can be.
Exactly.
So I've heard you talk about health empowerment. So what do you mean by that in terms of this detox or programs that you run?
What I mean by health empowerment is just having the knowledge that you can do so much more for yourself in a proactive way in order to not have 10 years in a nursing home. Many people believe that you get sick, you go to the doctor, they give you a pill, it makes you better. Our acute care system in North America is phenomenal. But the giving us a pill and making us better isn't working. It's the giving us a pill, and then that pill needs another pill, and that causes a side effect that needs another pill, and we have all this chronic illness. That's failing us, right? And it doesn't have to be that way. And so health empowerment is understanding it doesn't have to be that way. I can make different choices. I can go to different practitioners. I can get different lab tests run that my mainstream medical doctor doesn't even have access to in order to understand the inflammation levels in my body, or the metal toxicities, or the mineral deficiencies, or vitamin deficiencies, or the gut, imbalances, etc., or even the food sensitivities. And I've gone to my doctor and asked her to run these labs for me before I could run them for myself. When I was just a health coach, before I was an integrative health practitioner, I knew the value of it. And she's like, you can't run those. There's no such lab. Well, there is. She just didn't know about it. Right. And so health empowerment is knowing what's available, knowing that there's this multitude of other practitioners that are out there that can help you, guide you, refer you to others, etc. When clients work with me, they don't just get me. They get all the other practitioners that I'm aware of. If somebody's got sleep apnea, or they're a mouth breather, and that causes down the line health issues. I'm referring them to my dental hygienist / oral health coach that specializes in that area. If somebody has addictions, I'm referring them to my addictions expert. If somebody is needing more support around meal planning and shopping lists and healthy recipes, I'm referring them to my holistic nutrition practitioner, right? Because these are all things I touch on, but it's not necessarily what I want to spend my time on, right? So I refer them out to the people who that's where they love to spend their time.
I think that's wonderful. Not only, to be health empowered, but then to have access, like you said, to other practitioners who can just kind of add on top of what you've done already.
And that's where the empowerment comes from, is knowing that you have resources that you can go to. It is my goal not to ever have to go see my regular medical doctor, right? Because I'm doing all of these other things proactively in my health because I have the knowledge and the education. And that's what I share. I share it through my podcast. I share it when I'm working with clients. And so people can become empowered in their own way so they don't end up having to have a diagnosis because they're taking action now through detoxing and learning about their supplementation levels and how to support their body in order to be, the most vital that it can be so that they don't need to go to the doctor. That's health empowerment. And to never have that little switch turn on, right? Because our inflammation are at healthy levels and our gut is healthy and balanced.
Definitely. So let me just ask you this. So if you're doing this detox, are you then balancing that gut biome as well? Or is that something totally different?
It's a starting point. It's not the ending point.
Okay.
So the detox is a complete reset for the body. Okay. So when we bring those inflammation levels down, we get the toxins out, it starts to rebalance our hormones because the liver is charged with excreting excess estrogen. And if it's bogged down and it can't do that, it can't do that. So our hormones can get out of balance. And there's many women that are struggling with all sorts of awful periods, PMS, awful menopausal symptoms because their hormones are out of balance. When we start to reset the body through the detox, now the body can actually detox that excess estrogen and our hormones will come back into balance, right?
Okay.
The inflammation coming down in our body means that our gut can start to heal. In an inflamed body that's under stress, the body won't even heal. So we have to lower the stress, lower the inflammation. It can start healing. In starting healing, does it rebalance? For some people, if they're slightly out of balance, that might be all they need. But if somebody has SIBO or candida overgrowth and they know they have that and they have significant symptoms, it will start the process. It will not be enough. And we move into another protocol. Okay. If people have developed food sensitivities, they're like, why can't I eat this? I used to be able to, and now I can't. It can start to improve that situation because the more inflamed and stressed our gut is, the more food sensitivities we are going to have. So as we lower the inflammation and our gut heals, some of those food sensitivities will go away.
Okay.
So that's how it works, is it's a reset for the body, but it's not a cure-all for everything.
Okay.
Starting point.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So tell us about your plans for 2023. I hear that you have a new program that you're offering.
I do. I actually have a program coming up really soon in December. It's Learn Self-Hypnosis. So that's one program just to help people through the holiday season with overwhelm, stress, and also for people struggling with difficult emotions, right? It can be a difficult time of year. So self-hypnosis can help people cope with that. In the new year, I'll be offering another weekend of hypnosis training for anybody that wants to become a hypnotherapist themselves and work one-to-one with people, or if you just want more tools to use in your own self-care toolbox, it can be a powerful tool. And I know you teach this as well and will be. And then the other program that I'm launching in 2023 is an all-inclusive program. So it's going to be my high-end program, but you are working with, in that program, 7 different practitioners. And you get a choice based on what it is you need most as to which practitioners you're working with. So it's basically a one-stop shop. You're going to work with me. You're going to work with a spiritual healer that can help with detoxing the spiritual body and or help get you in touch with your intuition. You're going to be working with somebody that assesses gait and foot movement. And that's
Okay.
excellent for injury prevention, right?
Mm.
You're going to be working with someone that can help you move from your toxic products to non-toxic options, right? As you
Okay.
finish up products, then you know which ones you can be replacing them with that are non-toxic. And it doesn't mean they're more expensive. The wonderful thing is now is there's so many more great options. They're just not sold in your local stores. You need to be buying them online. And so it's a matter of where you source them.
Right.
You're going to be meeting with someone who is coaching on self-care. I talk about self-care all the time. I have a very strong self-care practice, and I believe in its importance. But what I love about what this lady does is not only does she have meditation videos and Pilates videos in her membership, she also sits down with you to help you find time in your calendar. And I've never known anybody else to do that. I talk about you doing that and the importance of it and how to do it, but I don't sit down with people to do it. But she does. So she'll help you find the time in your calendar and then have, another follow-up check-in session with you a month or so later as accountability. So those are the people that everybody meets with because all of those aspects of your health are important for everyone.
Right.
After that, it's a choice. So you can choose from a concierge pharmacist that can help you come off your medications safely. If you're on many medications and you want to start coming off them, because one medication will lead to a side effect and you get given another and you get given another, right? And then if you want to put this all behind you and heal, you need to start coming off those medications. Then there's another lady who I mentioned, the oral health coach who deals with sleep apnea and helping people with mouth breathing. So if that's your problem, then you're going to want to meet with her. And then the addictions coach. So if you have addictions, whether it's a shopping addiction, right down to a drug addiction, she will help you overcome that addiction. And then that's one group you can choose one practitioner from. If you wanted to work with more than one of them, you could. The second person would be out of pocket yourself, not included in the program. And then the next group of people is one of them is a parenting coach, because many of the people that come to me are parents, and it's important to be looking after our own health. So we're there for our kids, but also the health of our relationship with our children. And so she has an online course that addresses that. The holistic nutrition practitioner, her online membership that gives you weekly recipes, meal planning, and shopping lists. And then a fitness trainer who will meet with you to see where you're at, design workouts for you, meet with you in another month, tweak those workouts, meet with you in another month. So not everyone needs a fitness trainer. Some people already have them, which is why all of these different last 6 practitioners is a choice, because you pick the one that you need. So I'm really excited about this program. I'm calling it Start Now, Live Well. And yes, I'll be launching that in 2023.
Sounds very comprehensive, Melissa. So
I just want to make it easy for people. I know these people, I trust them, I've worked with them, and people ask me often like, well, who would you refer me to for this, right? So I just decided I'll bring it all together, and then it saves people having to go to Google and start researching things for themselves as well. So it saves time and energy on the behalf of the client.
Definitely. Thank you so much for telling us about your endeavors in the middle of December through January. Can you give all of our caregivers 3 takeaways from this physical detox that you offer?
So 3 takeaways is every single person that has ever done this detox feels better in some way, whether it's more energy because they're sleeping better, more mental clarity, less aches and pains because their inflammation levels have gone down. So those are kind of the physical benefits that people might have. There's also the structure around it that people enjoy. And having structure helps you stay on track better. So if you feel like your life is just a whirlwind right now and you're running around with the head chopped off and, half the time you don't even have time to eat because nothing's been prepared, the structure around this meal will get you into a place where you are actually making time in your calendar to do some meal planning, to prepare meals ahead of time so that you do always have meals to eat that are nutrient dense meals and fueling your body in a way that it needs to be fueled. So you're not getting to the end of the day staggering, exhausted, and then having a bag of potato chips for dinner. So
Not
those
potato chips, but chips. Okay.
Yeah. And then the third one is also just understanding how coffee impacts your body.
Okay.
We are a coffee addicted society. And so I spend some time on this in the first program. And when we're doing the detox, I'm bringing people off coffee so they start to understand that relationship and how sensitive they are to coffee. We all have different degrees of sensitivity to coffee, to sugar, to, different foods and food sensitivities, right? And many people, wake up every day and have coffee to kickstart their brain and give them energy. And then they need more later in the day and more later in the day. And then they're not sleeping at night. And then they wake up exhausted and they do it all again. And it's this negative cycle. And when we actually get them off coffee and they understand the connection and the 8-hour half-life of coffee, they actually don't go back to it because they realize the very thing that they thought was fueling them and giving them energy was actually negatively impacting their sleep and their ability to sleep well. And that's what was having them wake up exhausted. So It's fascinating for people to discover this, and that then allows different choices.
Okay. I did go off coffee at one point. I have to say, though, the herbal teas really didn't help me make that switch very well because and I would totally agree with you. I've been back on it for a few years now because of the fact that I don't get the boost, I guess, from herbal tea. So have that discussion at another time.
Yes.
So thank you so much. You also have a free offer for our listeners. Can you tell us about that, Melissa?
Yeah, it's the Discover Your Toxic Load quiz that I had mentioned earlier. So it's just a link that you can drop and people can take the quiz, discover their score. They can book a call with me afterwards if they would like to take action and bring their toxic load down. And I can explain, what their results mean and how the detox will impact them in a positive way based on the symptoms that they're experiencing that I see and the results that they get.
Thank you so much, Melissa. It's been really enlightening, and I appreciate the knowledge that you've been sharing throughout this interview. And thank you again for being here.
Oh, it's absolutely my pleasure. People just need to know. So I appreciate the opportunity to share, because when we know better, we do better. We can make different choices, better choices for ourselves, and then become empowered in our health as a result. So thank you for having me.
Most definitely. Thank you again, Melissa.
Thank you for listening to the Caregiver Cast today. Get a community of support, resources, and strategies for your caregiving journey inside the Caregiver Lifeline community. Visit caregiverlifelinecommunity.com. Get involved with the show. Send your email to mpetrusi2002@gmail.com. And we'll see you again next week for another episode of Caregiver Cast.